Hello and welcome to this quick tutorial on object pooling. Object pooling is a programming pattern used by game developers and has been used by game developers for years. It's a way of managing resources to make sure that you're not using a lot of CPU and memory during your game. So at the moment, if you have a game like this one, you may have, this is a bullet hell game. And at the moment, it's firing lots and lots of tennis balls. Now, if your game is like this, where you're spawning objects like this at runtime and continuously spawning them, you may notice that your performance of your game suffers and that you're gradually filling up the memory of your game. You can check all of this using the console. Press O to open the console, press Alt, left Alt to get the cursor, and then click on the performance. And click on World tab, and you'll see your entities will be going up. Now, if you don't want your entities to be continuously going up and be continuously using all of the memory and all of the CPU as you're spawning them, then you are going to need to use something called object pooling. Object pooling is a way to reuse entities that have gone past when they're useful. So in my game, I have a sports ball, which is the template that's being generated every 0.2 seconds and then fired at the player. In the sports ball, I have a script called ball pool member, and that script has a lifespan. And what the lifespan does is it basically says this ball is alive for 5 seconds. Once it's been alive for 5 seconds, it sets a state inside that, which sets it to not alive anymore. So I've got this set state function. And we can see that the self.alive is here, and get state as well, which returns whether it's alive. So this ball manages its own state, essentially. It says like, I'm currently running around your game, and then after 5 seconds, it stops running around the game, it turns invisible, collisions turn off, they turn off for all the children as well, it stops simulating that ball. The great thing about that is once that's all been turned off, we can actually reuse that. We can just grab hold of that ball, we can position it where we want to position it, we can reset its velocity, and we can fire it at the player. And the way we do that is by using object pooling. And so you'll see in my object pooling here, I've got this get ball script. So what I do in here is I create an array if one doesn't exist already, called ball pool, and the array is going to hold on to any balls that I make in my game, any sports balls, any instances of that template that I generate, and if any one of those templates is available for me to use, i.e. has been set to not alive, and it's hidden and it's not running around my game world, then I will reuse that. So I'll get hold of that there. If I can't find one that isn't in use at the moment, so if I get to the end of this for loop and I haven't found an instance of my sports ball template that is not alive, then I will generate a new one and I will use that, and I'll add that to my bank of instances of sports ball. Then I will turn whatever, whether it was generated just now or whether it was already in existence but just turned off or inactive or not alive. Whichever way I've now got hold of a ball, I will set the state to be alive. So I've set the state to true and then return the ball. This then means that when I run my game, there is a finite amount of entities that will be generated, and they are generated at runtime. So the same as using spawn, except they get to a number where the lifespan of the balls matches up with how many I need, and that number is 52. So 26 technically, because there's the mesh and the effect count as one entity each. So once they match up, then it will stop creating entities once I have an object pool that's big enough for what I need it for. Now, the good side of using a dynamic object pool like that is that I don't need to worry about trying to figure out how many objects and instances of that template I need. The downside to that is that there is still the possibility that I could overload the game and create too many instances of any one of my templates or entities. Because it's still technically spawning things at runtime. So if that's going to be a problem for your game, then you might want to think about using a different way, a different condition that will set your entity to no longer alive. So for me, this is a lifespan, and so every entity has 5 seconds. But for you, it might be that when it collides with the player, that it's turned off. Or it might be that you set a cap on how many of that entity you can have in your game. So maybe here you could set a limit to the amount of entities that you're going to allow. You create all of those entities at the start, and then you just loop through those entities. And as soon as you need one, you look for the oldest one that there is in the list. Keep a track of that with the index number. You can look for the oldest one there is, grab that, and then repurpose it. So you could do it in several different ways. The main thing is that you're not creating and destroying entities at runtime. Instead, you're managing your memory and you're making sure that your game's performance it stays at a good level and doesn't affect the player experience. So hopefully explaining object pooling has been helpful for you. I look forward to seeing how you use that in your game. There is a longer tutorial where I go through actually implementing this in a step-by-step process, including when I run into a couple of errors and how I go about fixing those as well. So if this is interesting to you and you really want to learn how to implement it, you're welcome to watch that video. Alternatively, there's some packages available in the community library. Just look for object pooling, and there's a couple out there already, and you can actually leverage other people's fine work to use that same principle and to pool your entities instead of creating and destroying them all at runtime and impacting your performance. But now you know what that is and why you might use it, you can make the decision whether it's right for your game. I look forward to seeing what you make, and I'll see you in the game.